this is the last of the, this is the last of the Bachelor stuff I have today. Let me see if I can zoom this up a little bit to make it more legible. Global TV, which is a production company, I think, in Canada. Global TV begins production on Robin with a Y Hood series to reimagine classic English folk hero as a Black female Gen Zer. Now, let me just say something here. Do you know what would be really great, meaningful, special for the Black community? Is if all these writers said, you know something, we need to make more Black characters. We need to make characters that are more representative of what we feel is a missing demographic from, representation in movies and theater. So what we're going to do, and this is what's key, what we're going to do is we're going to make a new cool character that we think people will enjoy. And you know what? They might do it. And then when you think of Robin Hood, or when you think of whatever, you'd think of a strong Black female character. Do you know what I hear when I think of Robin Hood? A white, middle-aged or younger, 20, 30 something, English rogue who went out with a bow and stole from the rich and gave to the poor. I am never going to think of a young millennial girl. So when they do things like this, what they're telling you is, we are so fucked out of ideas. We have no idea what to do anymore. So we're just going to take a storyline that's beloved and has long history, and we're going to twist it and deform it into something else. And then you're supposed to go along because it has a Black female representation. That's not how this works. You're doing a disservice to both those that love the character, and you're doing a disservice to, wait for it, the Black community and for women. Because what you're saying is, you know what? They don't deserve their own story. They don't deserve their own unique character. They can only replace characters that already exist because they're not good enough. That's kind of what this says to me. And it's a shame, and it's BS. And that's why no one is ever going to support this kind of stuff. Instead, take and make a new good character. But of course, they have to replace a white man with a young Black woman. Confirming that not even the Sherwood Forest can offer protection from the current state of Western entertainment, Canadian television network Global has announced that its production has begun on Robin with a Y Hood, a new small screen series which will reimagine the English archer of legend as a young Black female Gen Zer. You know what I think of when I think of a young Black female Gen Zer? Someone that's really good with a bow, that lives out in the forest with a band of merry people, merry men, roaming the woodlands. That's what I think of when I think of a Gen Zer. And more specifically, a Robin that is from the hood. That's what I think of as someone really good with a bow that lives off the land. You got me on that one, idiots. Following the original development announcement in January 2022, the upcoming 8-episode miniseries officially entered production. Created by Canadian music video director X, and features a story by orphan Black story coordinator Chris Roberts. The 8-episode near-fi action drama is described by Global as a contemporary reimagining of Robin Hood. Let me pause you here for a second. Let me just say this, okay? If you really cared, if you really, really cared about this community, here's what you do. You have a young woman, maybe who's kind of in a bad area, grows up in a bad area. She sees people that are struggling, and she thinks that the government or the cops are bad or whatever it is. You got to make because the sheriff of Nottingham, obviously they're going to have a sheriff in this. I'm sure he's going to be a white male. I guarantee that. Instead of replacing Robin Hood, what you do is you have a young lady that grows up and she enjoys comics or she enjoys movies. And she's inspired by the story of Robin Hood. And she becomes a young woman who happens to be Black and really likes the story of how Robin Hood did his thing. And then you make your own unique character where maybe she emulates or takes some things from him and takes some things from Wonder Woman or another popular whatever female. You can't just do this replace, replace, replace. People don't buy in on it. They know what you're doing. They know you're just doing a reimagination for the wokesters. They know this. They're not stupid. It's never going to go anywhere. And you're saying to minorities, you're not good enough for your own story. You're only good enough to, we're going to give you a white man's story. That's what the irony of this. The irony of this. They're saying you're not worth your own story. We're just going to give you some old white guy's story and you can make it yours. That I would find that incredibly insulting if somebody said, "Hey, we're going to make your life based off this black character. We're just going to, whitewash it and make it a white character, but that's you now." I'd be like, "Could I get my own story, please? Why do we have to keep glamming onto this stuff?" It's because what it says is that there's no interesting stories that need to be told from the black experience, but there is. As per a synopsis of the series provided by the network, in this modern retake, Legend Hood is a fearless young woman who is not just another superhero with abilities normal people don't have. She's a Gen Zer driven by the injustices of today who embraces the heroic, hopeful, and playful elements of the world's most recognizable folk hero. She's taking all the things of this recognizable folk hero and making them her own. No, you're stealing. You're just stealing who Robin Hood is, and you're giving it to a young black woman, and you're even renaming her Robin Hood. This is lazy. It's insulting. And again, I'm not a black person, but I can tell you right now, this would piss me off. You're saying, great, let's take a white dude and turn him into somebody else. This, yeah, like Jerry says, this is cultural appropriation. She's a Gen Zer driven by the injustices. Blah, blah, blah. She learns to fight for what's right, to care for and lead her followers. Raise your hand if any of you would follow a Gen Zer today into anything. I wouldn't follow a Gen Zer into a toilet, let alone into battle. What are they thinking with this? She learns to fight for what's right and care and lead for her followers. And like all Robin Hoods since the first ballad, Robin, with a Y, holds those in power to account by using their greed against them to help her community. Do you notice in this article of Bounding into Comics, every picture they have in this whole thing is blonde, middle-aged to older, white Robin Hood? It's because and don't get me wrong, this is a very attractive woman. She's very pretty. No one's going to care. No one's going to care. Turning to the protagonist herself, Global explained, Robin Hood follows Robin Loxley, a young woman whose masked hip-hop band, The Hood, is known for their invented videos and anti-authoritarian message. Okay, so this woman's name is Robin Loxley, and she's got a hip-hop band called The Hood. Stereotype much? Literally stereotype. She lives in Sherwood Towers, a cluster of rental high-rises in a working-class corner of New Nottingham, near a nearby city where the cost of living has skyrocketed, leaving an ever-widening gap between the rich and everyone else. So she lives in the projects. So you're saying the woman that you're portraying as Robin Hood is a black millennial, or excuse me, a black Gen Xer who has a hip-hop band named The Hood, and she lives in the hood, a ghetto, and she's going to fight back again. How stereotypical is this? Is this how they think every person that's black, their story is? This is so insulting. And again, I'm not a black person. Maybe it's not insulting to black people. When I hear this, I'm like, Jesus, like talk about stereotypes. The synopsis, and again, what do you bet? The landlord's white, the sheriff white men, the people that are taking the money and the building owners and everybody white. You know they're going to be white men, and she's going to have a plug, even though they're in the quote hood, because stereo. You know she's going to have Latina and gay and trans and Asian. They're going to have all the representation except white men. I guarantee this. I guarantee this. And what the reason why they do this is I don't know if they want white people to hate minorities. I don't know if they want minorities to hate white people, but they want us angry at each other so we don't all come together and go, what about the assholes up there that are ruining our country, that are taking our money, that are raising our taxes, that are spending godless amounts of our taxpayer dollars on things that don't help us? They don't want us all standing together. They want us all fighting amongst ourselves so we don't pay attention to any of that stuff. That's what they're doing. And too many people are getting sucked into that. But I think what's interesting is these things are failing. I mean, you look at the latest Toy Story movie, failed. You look at the Batgirl movie that was going to come out that had a Latina Batgirl, that didn't even get published, failed. You get this Ezra Miller, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute. That's they may lose 200 million on that. The companies that are promoting to these people, right? The companies that are pushing the narratives to these people, failing. They're losing dollars. Look at Netflix, look at HBO. So, I mean, there is good news to all of this, is that people are not buying into this. They're not buying into this. Okay, let's see if we have maybe some cast here. Alongside the series production announcement, Global also revealed Robin Hood's principal cast, beginning with the news that Jessie Romeo, Katie Browning Pennyworth, was set to lead the series as the titular Robin. Again, she's pretty. Maybe she's a good actor, but joining her will be Nakeem. Now, I did not pre-read this, so you know. I did not pre-read this. And I like to do that, so that way if I turn out to be right, it's kind of fun for me. Nakeem Provo, Simon, the right one. Idrissa Sanogo, young man, Titans. Daniela Karlamova, girl in classroom and the boys. Jonathan Langdon, Hutchins, Run the Burbs, as Robin Hood's bandmates. I don't know who any of those people are. It'll also feature a bunch of other actors. It'd be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how this comes out. But I want to, and I'll wrap up with this one, and then we're going to go to a supporters only as a bonus. Showrunner for Game of Thrones spinoff House of Dragons says House Velaryon race swapped to avoid putting another bunch of white people on the screen. So again, they're saying, well, this was a white person's story, but we're going to stick you minorities in there, you black people in there. So to represent black people. It's still a white person's story. The book was still written about white people. It was still centered around white people. So do you think just sticking a black actor in has anything to do with telling a story of the black plight? No, it's blackwashing at this point. I find this ironic. And I don't think you're doing any favors for the black community by doing this. Write something original, write something creative, write something from the soul of that community. Make it mean something.